Can you hear them? Talking about us? Telling lies? Well, that's no surprise. Today we're talking about the Go-Go's, one of my all-time favorite bands. I guess if you had to break it into gender, the Go-Go's would be my favorite all-girl band. Luckily, Cyndi Lauper's not a band, so there's no competition there. But today we're taking a look at filming locations for the Go-Go's first music video, Our Lips Are Sealed. It was a huge song, I'm sure you know it. Our Lips Are Sealed was written by Jane Wiedlin of the Go-Go's and Terry Hall of the Specials. And the story behind that is the Go-Go's and the Specials were on tour together, and Jane and Terry sparked a little long distance romance, and during that romance they wrote Our Lips Are Sealed. And that's why there's actually two versions of the song. The Go-Go's version, which is definitely the more popular version that everybody knows, and then there's also a version by the band Fun Boy 3, which was Terry Hall's other band. Our lips are sealed. And honestly, I love both versions of the song. Now, I'm currently standing in a parking lot directly across the street from the Beverly Center, and the reason why I wanted to start this video here is it was actually in this parking lot where I saw the Go-Go's perform for the very first time. This was somewhere around the year 2000. I was at home with some friends. We got a phone call from another friend and he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? The Go-Go's are about to play in a parking lot next to the Beverly Center." And we were like, "What?" And we jumped in my car and we shot down here. And this was back when you could get from one part of LA to another in a reasonable amount of time. And this was during rush hour. Like 5 in the afternoon. And I want to say that we got from my house in Reseda all the way down here in like 30 or 40 minutes. And we also, as soon as we got here, we found parking. I mean, this is something that would never happen. It would take you like 2.5 hours to do that now. We got here just in the nick of time. There was a stage set up over there. The Go-Go's performed their hits, Our Lips Are Sealed, We Got the Beat, Vacation, maybe a couple of others, I can't remember. And then afterwards, when they were done, they came right over here to this building, which is now a Johnny Rockets, but back then it was a Warehouse Music. And I should mention that it was the same warehouse where a very infamous incident happened with Depeche Mode, but that's another video. So when the Go-Go's were done, they came into that warehouse. They had just released something, I don't remember what it was, but so they went in there and they did a signing, and I actually have a couple of photos. I was standing right there on the corner of the building and I took some photos of Jane as she walked by me. Now, unfortunately, I didn't go into the signing because we didn't know about it, so we weren't prepared. But yeah, right here in this parking lot where I saw the Go-Go's perform live for the first time. And since then, I've probably seen them perform maybe half a dozen times or more, and they never disappoint. They're always great. Today, we're gonna be driving around Hollywood, West Hollywood, and Beverly Hills, trying to hunt down all of the locations for Our Lips Are Sealed. And I should mention that when you do music videos, they're usually fast-paced and there's a lot of locations, and Our Lips Are Sealed is definitely like that. So it might be hard to track down all of these locations, but I think we're gonna get pretty close. So if you're ready, let's go see what we can find. Now there's a couple of shots towards the beginning of the video where the girls are driving around. I could tell it wasn't a residential area, and I started to realize that it's actually inside of a studio. I then just had to figure out what studio it was. I then learned that A&M Records used to be located inside of this complex. Now this used to be Charlie Chaplin Studios. It's now Jim Henson Studios, and this is where they're driving around. They're actually coming out of that gate right there. So as you walk up to the front of the studio, you're greeted by Charlie Chaplin, who's standing in this doorway, and then just to the left of that is a gate, and this is where the Go-Go's were driving. They were coming right towards where I'm standing, and behind them you can see a building with a large window, and if you look closely you can see an overhanging. That was actually this building on the left. If you look right up there, there's that overhanging that you can see. You also see them pass by a building that kind of looks like a house, and behind it is a much larger building that has 4 tall windows. And here's the building that looks like a house, and then the much larger building with the 4 long windows. Now this entire area looks exactly the same. Just to give you a different perspective, here's an overhead shot. They would have been coming from over here, driving this way, and this is the building that they pass right by. Now, I'm also pretty sure that that very first shot of them standing in front of the window with the giant Go-Go's poster, that was also here inside of this studio. I just haven't pinpointed the exact spot yet. So like I already said, they were coming from this direction, so I'm not completely sure on this, but I have a feeling at one time over here is where that building used to be that had the Go-Go's poster in the window. Now, a lot of stuff has changed here at what's now Jim Henson Studios, but luckily everything right here in front is still the same. Throughout the entire music video, it keeps cutting to them performing on stage inside of a nightclub that was filmed right here at what's now the world famous Viper Room. At the time, this wouldn't have been the Viper Room though. This has been a lot of clubs throughout the years. At the time, it was a nightclub called the Central. And here it is. This is the very stage where they were performing Our Lips Are Sealed, or probably pretending to perform. And in the music video, you can see a brick wall behind them, but as you can see, it's now a black curtain that goes all along the wall behind the stage, but possibly that brick wall is behind the black curtain?
I'm not gonna breathe, literally, that's how dusty this is. I'm kidding. No, they drywalled it, and I think they did for sound purposes.
Yeah.
Actually, they drywalled it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they drywalled out for sound. The outside is still brick.
Okay.
You can see where they covered a window at one point.
So unfortunately, the brick wall has been covered up, but this is where it took place. Jane would have actually been standing right here in front of me. Driving down Santa Monica past what's now the Christian Louis Vuitton store. Fun fact, this is the same store where Julia Roberts gets turned away in the movie Pretty Woman. They quickly go through the intersection of La Brea and Sunset Boulevard, and the only building here that's still the same, although it's a different name, is this hotel. And it's also pretty well covered now by this Starbucks. This plaza here on the corner wasn't there at the time. Another very quick shot of the girls going through an intersection. Now this is Highland Avenue and Sunset Boulevard, and the camera starts off pointed at this shopping center, which has definitely been remodeled since then. The camera then spins around and points this way, and you can actually see these buildings right here. But the real giveaway was a Firestone Tire Center, which used to be located right there where they're now building a new structure. However, that Firestone was torn down pretty recently, because if you go to Google Maps, you can still see it. And this is right about where they are when you see the cop car behind them. Everything here still matches up. Notice those 4 windows right there? This building, and this building. There's another very quick shot of the girls going through an intersection where Jane's holding her hair. They're coming down Highland Avenue, passing Hollywood Boulevard. Now this was a really tough one to figure out because it's such a quick shot, but the giveaway was right back here. You can see the Roosevelt Hotel. We then see them driving down Santa Monica Boulevard, just west of Roxbury Drive. And behind them you can see this building and this building. Now this is also the same area where they were just stopped with the police car behind them, and also the same area where Belinda's rocking out while driving. The girls then make a right turn onto Highland Avenue from Franklin Avenue. You can see a Chevron gas station. Still a gas station, no longer a Chevron though. And there also used to be an island out here in the middle of the street, which was ripped out a few years back. And of course, all of those buildings that you can see behind them are no longer the same. And probably one of my favorite parts of the music video, Jane's solo, takes place right there in front of that lingerie shop. And it's the exact same shop. Can you believe it? And when they're pulling up onto the sidewalk, behind them you can see the Coronet Theater, and that's the same too. Amazing. And the car was parked right here on the sidewalk in front of me, and they all jump out and go inside the building. Now, you can see Belinda pretend to go inside of the building. She gets out of the car, but supposedly she just didn't feel like going inside, and you can actually see her during Jane's solo. She's ducking down in the front seat. You can see her head pop up for a second, and you see Jane start to laugh. And in the close-ups, Jane's head is parallel with this post right here. You can also see that parking meter, which is kind of obscured by this car, but you can see that post and that utility pole and that parking meter. And then right after Jane finishes her solo, the girls take off in the car, passing right by this building, which at the time was a rug shop, and I don't know what it is now, but 418 La Cienega, just a couple of doors down from the lingerie shop. And of course, the video ends right here at the electric fountain in Beverly Hills. Now keep in mind that just about every building at this intersection has changed, so none of them are really going to match up with what you see in the video. But not much has changed with the fountain. Well, hopefully the water has changed since then. So there it is, the Go-Go's Our Lips Are Sealed filming locations. I think we got everything except for maybe like 2 or 3 really quick things that they drive by. Now I bet you were all waiting for me to get inside this fountain and swim around, and to be honest, I was thinking about it. But you know, they actually have these park rangers that ride through this park on bikes patrolling, and while I was standing out here filming, they must have passed by like 5 or 6 times. I think the Go-Go's messed it up for everybody. Once they got inside the fountain, they now have to have rangers. There's actually cameras everywhere, so what are you gonna do? All right, that's gonna do it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So there it is, the See? Thought I was lying.